Some birders chase rare birds, others chase stories, and David is doing both. Today on Birders Unfiltered, I'm interviewing David, a bird photographer and the creator behind Bird Talk, where he connects with birders across the globe. We're getting into what he's learned from the community, the thrill of rare bird chases, and how birding impacts mental health. David, what made you want to start interviewing other birders through your Bird Talk series?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I came up with this idea about a year ago when I realized that a lot of the birders I've been following for, several years on social media were people with unique stories just like mine. And every once in a while, I would meet some of these birders in real life, Mickey Marsh, different places around where I live. And it was always a great time for me to just have a chat and really discover that there's a rich story behind every birder and why they're out there birding. So I thought could be interesting to get us birders on social media to connect and look at the person behind all the bird pictures. And so that's what I started doing.
What's something you've learned from those conversations that really stuck with you?
Something I learned, which I think known by a lot of birders, is that a lot of people got into it during COVID. This was something that I at first was surprised at, but it turns out to be quite a common reason why people got into birding or bird photography. And related to that, I think a lot of people get into it for something a little deeper because brought meaning to their lives, maybe during a time of hardship, during a time of maybe loneliness or really seeking something new in their lives. So it's part of like inner transformation. It came, with something deeper that was happening inside of them.
There's a lot of excitement around rare birds. What makes chasing them so thrilling for you?
What makes it thrilling for me is that, so I've been in Ohio for almost 5 years now. And I have to say, I've gone out birding so much that I haven't obviously seen all the birds you can see in Ohio, but they are a little harder it does get a little harder to see new birds. So every day I get an email from eBird with all the rare bird alerts. And every once in a while, I want a little bit of excitement and adventure. And so I look at where a bird's been seen multiple times, several days in a row, and I'll tell myself, okay, I'm going to try to find this. And you can drive an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to find a bird, and sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. It's kind of a gamble, and that's kind of the fun of it. The opportunity to add an extra bird to your list and to see something that doesn't typically occur is it's just always really fun.
How do you usually find out about rare birds in your area?
So typically it's through my those eBird alerts, and I do have other family members or friends who are in the area that get their information through different channels. And every once in a while, I'll get a text message or a message on Instagram asking me if I had heard that such and such a bird was in the area. So it's usually, yeah, word of mouth or daily eBird rare bird alerts.
Do you have a favorite rare bird moment or chase that really stands out to you?
So one was actually a year and a half ago, is in the dead of winter. There was this lazuli bunting that had shown up in the middle of the winter in southern Ohio, and this is a bird that basically only occurs out west. And the people who found it was this Amish family on a farm in southern Ohio, and I had read that a lot of people had been going and that this Amish family was very welcoming and that they would make it easy to see the birds. So I went, and it was actually just a very meaningful time because the family invited me into their home for me to watch the bird from their living room, which was it's
Oh,
not a common thing, and just to experience being on an Amish farm for several hours with all these birders coming in from all over the place. People were coming in from Michigan, Kentucky, Virginia, Pennsylvania. They had literally driven hours to be there. So it's like this little time capsule on an Amish farm looking at a rare bunting with all these people from around the, eastern US. I found that just completely fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, it is fun when everyone comes together. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite birding hotspot that you keep going back to?
There's a couple I would say in Ohio. One is McGee Marsh. I'll go there any time of the year, even in the dead of winter when there's not that much going on. You still have your winter visitors, your massive flocks of tundra swans. I'd love to go and see. So I'll go there 3, 4, 5 times a year. There's a wildlife area that's closer to Columbus, about 45 minutes north, which is called Big Island. It's a wildlife refuge. And in the summertime, you get a lot of your summer visitors that kind of really occur in more isolated areas like bobolinks and dixisals. They're there. And then very close to my home, there's definitely a park called High Banks, and I won't reveal this secret, but I know where I can see great horned owls whenever I want.
Oh, wow.
So I'm always going there to say hello and make sure they're doing all right.
So on a more personal level, how does birding make you feel, especially when it comes to your mental health?
I grew up enjoying birding with my dad, so I think the first time I went out was like when I was 7. But over the years, and especially back in 2020, my dad passed away, and that was a very hard period of my life where just a lot of I didn't expect that to happen, and birding was a way for me to reconnect with my dad. It really had a strong part in my grieving process where I just felt like, it was a way for me to be in silence, to grieve, to smile because I knew I had seen that bird with my dad many times. So just like a way to bring back a lot of good memories as well. And life is always stressful. I actually moved from France 5 years ago. So massive transition, big loss to my family, and moving from one country to another brings a lot of stress, adjustment, and it's like when I go out birding, all that kind of disappears for a moment, kind of find myself. It's very grounding and calming. So that has my the intensity in which I bird has definitely increased since 2020.
After all the people you've interviewed and experiences that you've had, what does birding mean to you now?
Birding really means, this is a very personal process when you're out there birding. But the community of birders is big and it's growing, and everybody who's birding is actually very intentional about it. I've discovered this to be a way of actually building community around me. It's a great way to connect with people who are very different from you on one common object, one common subject, and it's just really fun to see how people bring out their personalities through birding. And so I think it is a very personal thing, but after seeing and experiencing all these different interviews with different people, I realize this is a really birds are a strong connector of people.
I absolutely agree with that. Huge thanks to David for sharing his perspective and for bringing the birding community closer together through his Bird Talk series.
Thank you so much.